What idiot.
Welcome to Bald and Board Games How To. I'm Bald,
I'm bored.
and we are teaching you how to play Tiny Epic Dinosaurs.
Yeah, solid game made by Gamelin Games, and it's really perfectly sized, as you can tell by the box here. It lays out really nicely. It travels easily. There's probably like 20 different versions that we own. We will be getting through all of them, but we're starting off with this one and giving you a little fun tutorial on how to walk through the game a little bit.
Yes. So, Tiny Epic Dinosaurs is a worker placement style game. Your workers are ranchers. You will be assigning these ranchers one by one, alternating turns to the various areas down here to gain dinosaurs, to try and complete public or private contracts, to gain research cards to help you out, which could be dinosaurs or other items, to gain resources like barriers and food. And you will be trying to organize your dinosaurs on your ranch cards in a way to maximize your benefit in regards to getting resources, to make sure your dinosaurs don't eat each other, and to make sure none of them run away. Definitely don't want that. So the game is broken up into 6 rounds. Each round consists of 7 phases that you'll go through one by one collectively. And at the end, the person with the most points wins. And the points come from those contract cards, those research cards, and any dinosaurs you have left in your ranch. So phase one is the resource collection. What do we do
Yeah,
there?
so resource collection's pretty straightforward. The beginning of each round, you'll look at your little ranch here. So as you can see, mine currently is empty, and that's how the game would start. You would just add up your meat, you would add up your grass, which is the food for herbivores, and you add up your supply.
Herbivore!
Our English ain't no good. So, as well as supplies, which can be used on the game board. As you layer dinosaurs out, those dinosaurs will cover some of the supplies, so the following round you'll get less and less potentially based on how you build out your ranch.
Phase two is assigning those ranchers. Like I said, you'll do this one at a time and alternating between players who are playing. So let's go over what each of the areas are. The first section here on card A is all about getting dinosaurs, all about tracking them down and stealing them from their homes. So you can put them in their new home, which is your ranch. So first here we have an area where if you put your meeple on any one of these 4, you will roll this die to see if you get that dinosaur. You will always get that dinosaur. The die really just tells you how many you get, which could be 1 if you roll this net, or it could be 2 if you roll the egg. If you roll the scratches, then you'll get the 1 dinosaur, but you and that dinosaur will go into the medical leave, which opens up that spot for someone else to use. The spot below it is a safer route, but it costs more to do. Using your supply that you have, if you have any on your board, you will put your meeple there, and you get a dinosaur without having to worry about rolling that die. Less risky, more costly. So next we have the middle section, which actually has 3 different areas. The first of which on top is the contracts. This is where you have to place your meeple, your rancher, to complete any of the contracts. And just like you saw before, this section here, you'll have to pay a supply to do that portion. If you want to complete a contract, you have to have the dinosaurs that match the card in your ranch. When you're choosing to complete the contract, you will discard the dinosaurs from your ranch back to the supply and take the public contract card. To complete your private contract card that you have to complete a public first, and then you can complete the private, but you also have to have the dinosaurs on the private available to discard after discarding the ones you just did on the public. Next on the line, we have the barriers section. This is how you get these gray barriers here, which will keep your dinosaurs contained so they don't run away or commingle and eat each other. So there are 4 different things on here you can do. The first of which you'll have to pay a supply to do, and that is allowing you to move a dinosaur immediately from your holding area onto the ranch. And you can choose to pick up a barrier on your ranch and put it into your holding area, provided it doesn't break the rules of the dinosaurs commingling or escaping. Next, we have gain a barrier. Simply take a barrier and put it in your holding area. Next, we have gain the first player marker, and you can rearrange your barrier. So again, you can barrier from your ranch, put it in your holding area. Lastly, you'll gain 2 barriers, but you do have to pay a supply to do that one. Next, we have the research area. This is how you get these research cards at the bottom. The first of which you'll have to pay 1 of the leafy and 1 of the meaty resources, and you can take 1 of these cards here shown, or you can draw 3 from the pile, choose 1, and place the other 2 down with the other cards that are face up. The other section does the same thing, but you would pay a dinosaur to do that instead. We got to get the last section. A lot of talking. And lastly, we have the resources card, where you can gain more resources instead of having to wait for phase 1 to come back around like normal. So on the resources card, you'll put a meeple down, 1 of your ranchers, and you'll gain 2 for the first sections of the resource, or 1 for the other sections of the resource. After everyone's gone back and forth and placed all their ranchers, you'll move on to the retrieve ranchers, where you'll take all of them back. And after that, phase 4 is arranging your ranch.
Yeah, and the one thing to pay attention to as you're placing your ranchers down is if Nick were to have a rancher here and say, take that first place marker,
Yep.
I can use my big rancher, as you can see here, the height difference a little bit, and then not counter that, but stack on top of it and do it as well. Or I can pay 2 of my ranchers to do it. So it's a little more costly. You only get 1 big versus 3 or 4 small, but you're able to kind of take advantage and watch what the other player is doing and then do the same thing to kind of force them into a hole.
And if somebody had placed their larger individual on the spot to begin with,
then it
equals 2 ranchers. So you can technically still do that action, but you would have to pay 1 additional rancher over that guy, so it would be 3 in total.
Yes. But no.
Not very smart.
No, unless it's like a last resort move. Oh. But now we'd go on to feeding our dinosaurs. Arranging a ranch, then feeding the dinosaurs. So as we look at our ranch, which would be right here, if you had dinosaurs in your holding area available, you can then move them onto the board. So you need to have a dinosaur enclosed. So this here is eligible. But in order to place the second dinosaur, you would need to have those barriers. So very important to pay attention to as you're going through the round to collect the barriers. You can arrange them as such. If you have a purple dinosaur, that purple can go anywhere outside without being covered. It just cannot be in an area touching someone else. So if I had a barrier here, I could not play the purple next to it because it's next to the green. But it could go out here next to another purple. The final piece about arranging your ranch is you want to pay attention to what resources are out there. So I don't want to put the green there and cover a resource if I can put it on a free spot. Once you've arranged your ranch, and your opponents have as well, you walk right into feeding, which is very self-explanatory. On your card here, it tells you the cost. You'll have to pay that utilizing your resource track. On the purple for the purple dinosaurs, on the card that you received, it'll tell you the cost, and you'll pay that. Once you've done both those steps, you go into your final ranch step, which is breeding.
So after you have arranged your ranch, your dinosaurs will breed if you have 2 dinosaurs of the same type. Let me just set this up for you. And they have to be enclosed so they don't escape. Get some enclosures all around the side here. And let's do this and that. And technically, it's enclosed right now. So We have 2 reds. They've been successfully fed. They have full tummies. They will breed 1 dinosaur.
Now they have energy to be a
Now
mommy
you
and a
have
daddy.
3. Exactly. So, fun thing about the dinosaurs who breed, if, say your setup was like this, that new baby dinosaur can go into any spot out here and it will not run away. It's too afraid, too little, it's not adventurous. But it does have to abide by the rules that are in place normally. So if you had already bred a dinosaur out into this area, you cannot commingle that dinosaur. It would have to stay in there. If, for whatever reason, during the feeding step that happened beforehand, or if during the breeding step you don't have space to put a dinosaur, if dinosaurs escape, then carnivores will eat another dinosaur, so you have to remove an additional dinosaur off your mat. Herbivores will force you to remove a barrier. That barrier removal could force other dinosaurs to potentially escape. But you will only ever suffer the consequence of the carnivore escaping and the herbivore escaping once. So if you have multiple carnivores escape, you only suffer that consequence once. If you have multiple herbivores escape, you only suffer that consequence once for this part in the phase. And then lastly, you refresh for the next round.
Yeah, which is pretty simple in this game. If the contracts are not equal to 3, you would add a new contract. All of the research that's down here automatically is discarded. You deal 3 new ones and read them what they are. We put the little dinosaur miniatures on them as they are placed out here. And then you prepare for the refresh of the next round. As you can see on the little round tracker, on round 4, you actually get a little boost. So each player will get another rancher. So instead of having 3 small and 1 large, you'll now have 4 small and 1 large. And you'll get an additional private contract card. So now you have 2 private cards to be able to work on. Or if you've already completed a private card by round 4, you now have a brand new one to try to complete as well. Once that has been completed, you get through all 6 rounds, all 7 steps. We flip over that card, and you have final scoring. As you can see on the card here, there's only 3 parts of final scoring. Number 1 is contracts. Any completed contract, you utilize that star in the corner. Private has the same setup, and you just add the points together. Research cards, very similar fashion. In the bottom right corner, you will see a little marker for how many points you will earn. But a fun, interesting thing is, let's say you've earned this purple. This purple would be on your game board in your ranch. If you use that purple to complete a contract, or T-Rex eats that dinosaur, then you lose this card and you lose those points. Mm-hmm. All of those purple unique dinosaurs have to be in your possession on your ranch at the end of the game for you to get each point. And then the final track is your dinosaur count, which is based off of this here, the 2, 3, 3, and 4, based on the dinosaur's picture. You get 4 for each one. So if you had 2 reds, you would get 8, and equivalently for the other colors. If there happens to be a tie, the player with that first round marker sneaks past and gets the win.
That's true.
So, as we mentioned, this is just one of many Tiny Epic games. We
Yes.
will be playing them all eventually.
Yes.
And we will be doing how-to videos on all of them. So if you're interested in any others, and if you've played Tiny Epic games before, let us know which one's your favorite, and we'll add that to the list to do next.
And come join us on our Twitch streaming. We stream Thursdays at 8, Saturdays at 1, and we post up new videos on YouTube every Wednesday.
Yep, and we're always up to date on Instagram. If you want to DM us, ask questions, comments on YouTube for sure as well. We'll definitely respond to those. As well as Instagram, we'll get story posts and whatnot so you can stay updated if plans change or we add a new stream with some new friends. You'll see that on Instagram.
Yep, we are Bald and Board Games. I'm Bald.
On board.
Thanks for joining us.